a board member over there at Fox who clearly does not seem to like Tucker very much. That would be Paul Ryan, big-time politician turned board member at Fox News. Paul Ryan went and did an interview with the Washington Post, same outlet, by the way, that broke that story, that broke the story about the Florida guy allegedly hacking and stealing this information. He went on with Washington Post, and he did this little interview in which he totally slams Tucker. And he, by the way, slams Trump, and he slams anyone who doesn't want to be all in terms of NATO, et cetera, right now. Anybody who's questioning it, right? You're not going to be in Paul Ryan's favor right about now. Watch.
What worries me more, and not just Tucker, that's a symptom of all this, is that they're curating sympathy in America. And they're helping nurture and develop an isolationist wing in my party and in our country, which I think is very, very dangerous. They're developing, people who want to see NATO reduced or NATO not adhered to. Obviously, former President Trump is pushing this line as well. So what I very much worry about is they're helping curate a line of thought, a school of thought that is isolationist, that is pro-Putin, pro-Russia, pro-tyranny at the end of the day. And that is extremely dangerous for all democracy, but for us as ourselves, democracy. And so what I see Tucker is just one little chapter in that story. I didn't watch that whole interview. I watched a little bit of it, but it just looked like a kind of an infomercial for Putin to be able to push his propaganda.
Even if it was, let's go with you for a second, Paul, who, by the way, is not a journalist. Don't you want to hear the propaganda? I mean, we got our own propaganda. You've got your propaganda. It's actually worth understanding where everybody's coming from, what they're actually spinning, using whatever you know to be true, and to try and get to the bottom of it. I mean, any decent journalist would tell you that. Any decent journalist. But, they're all freaking out because guess what? Somebody else got the interview, not them. He went on to complain just a little bit more. And the reporter pointed out, you're on the board.
You're still on the board of Fox, correct?
Yes.
And do you feel as if Fox could do a better job of promoting some of the values that you're talking about?
We do quite a bit. I mean, obviously, as you know, Tucker no longer works at Fox, and he was let go.
He's getting that out there again.
The details of that, other than what Fox they have. There's opinion, and then there's news, and news reports all of these aspects. And there are people with opinions that give their opinions. And look, I am in the minority in my party right now. I'm not in the establishment. I'm frankly an anti-establishment Republican. And I think you can safely argue, I don't enjoy acknowledging this, that Trump is the establishment and Trump populism is the establishment. And that Trump populism is this more isolationist strain that I think is wrong and dangerous, and I don't support. But that does represent a large swath of Republican voters. And so you will see opinions representing that majority, that establishment, that current present day establishment.
You're still on the board of Fox, correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
He is still on the board of Fox. And he got a couple dings in it, Tucker. And I just have a feeling, I haven't talked to Tucker about this, but I just have a feeling that he might have some of these choice words to say for little Paul Ryan. I mean, I don't want to put words in his mouth. These are the words he used, of course, to describe Chris Wallace. Chris Wallace, who was really angry about that Putin interview as well. Take a look. This is Tucker.
What? Now, let me ask you this. Before the Fox unwinded.
Wrong one.
I mean, I got
all right. Well, I wanted to play you the one. We'll play you this one too. Where, here we go. Here we go. This is what we knew was coming.
When I debated him, I said, how come, and this was in front of probably not a friend of yours, Chris Wallace. He was the moderator.
Not a friend.
It's one of those
bitchy little man.
His father.
Little fussy man.
All right, that's what I wanted, because I have a feeling he might have something sort of similar to say for little Paul Ryan as well. Just thinking. Again, don't want to put words in his mouth, but I'm guessing there's not a ton of love lost there. Anyway, I'll let him describe this. This is how it all went down. He says he's fine with the Murdochs. I don't, I mean, hey, look, it's just business, right? At the end of the day, it's just business. And he had the view that it was not being well run as a business, and that was in part because of some of the management, which might have included some of the commentary coming from the peanut gallery, which would be Paul Ryan. Anyway, take a listen to Tucker saying this on his own show, actually, just shortly after this all went down.
Similar. What? Now, let me ask you this. Before the Fox unwinded.
You mean I got fired?
Yes. Did you think were you ardent, go Fox, go guy, or
My view on Fox hasn't really changed. They let me say whatever I want, whatever I wanted, really, for 14 years, and I'll never stop being grateful for that. And then, obviously, I said too much, and I'm not exactly sure what I said that was bad. No one ever told me, but one day they're like, oh, can't have this anymore, and they fired me. And I even told them as they were firing me, it's your business. I made a mental note, never work for anyone else again, and I never will. But I can't be mad about it. I mean, they were great to me. The Murdochs were always nice to me, and one day, for whatever reason, they'd had enough. So my feelings weren't hurt. I was not expecting it.
So were you, for me, when I was with Penn, I knew there were things, it's oh, I can't go there. They made that clear. Did you feel like at Fox you could say whatever you want?
Well, there was always internal the Murdochs were always nice. They never got in my way at all. They were always super nice to me. But there were, it's a company run by fearful women.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And there were always second tier people who were hassling my producers, but no one ever called me. I got along with everybody, but I think they knew the censorship that's not don't welcome that, you know? So, but they never actually got in the way of anything. Our view on the war in Ukraine was really, really hated. I could feel it. And my view was not pro-Russia, never has been pro-Russia. Just this is not our fight. It's not good for us. We should just put an end to the war because people die in war. I've seen it. It's bad. And just saying that was considered crazy pro-Kremlin propaganda. And they were very mad about that. But to their credit, they never said anything to me about it directly. I could just smell it. And so I really just don't have any complaints. And I will say, and I know that you've experienced this, it's true, being humiliated in public, being fired, I have been a couple of times, is totally good for you in the end, because it keeps you from thinking you're Jesus or getting super crazy hubris guy,
I would think with you, it would have increased. So we similar. What? Now, let me ask you this. Before the Fox unwinded.
You mean I got fired?
Yes.
Yeah,
did you think were you
he says some kind of interesting stuff, right? Because he actually alluded to exactly what Paul Ryan was just getting at. In other words, he said we had a totally different viewpoint on Ukraine. Look, I've been there, done that, seen that. And I totally agree with him on absolutely everything. Look, it is just business at the end of the day, and we're all adults. And you know what? You work for someone. Those are the risks you take. You don't really think that your own employer is going to just, be that bad and give you that big a kick in the pants on the way out the door, but they're a competitive bunch and, whatever. I think we're all happy that we're not there anymore. I would also just say that he likely, much like I had a different view on everything that happened in the days of coronavirus and COVID, you get the market tank in 2000 and the President Trump was shutting down the whole nation. I'm like, whoa. I think this is getting a little too crazy, right? Because you knew they were going to politicize it, which is exactly what they did. And I warned of that. And then that was that. So I got to say what I wanted, I guess. And then that was that. It's better over here, is it not? Reminder to subscribe to the show. I'm here every day live with you. We are growing and growing and growing. We're up over 200,000 right now. And this is our little thing, that we just started not that long ago right here on YouTube. But you heard him Tucker reference Paul Ryan and his view, if you would, on Ukraine. And I think that probably had to have been at least some of the sticking point. There's something else too.
What worries me more, and not just Tucker, that's a symptom of all this, is that they're curating sympathy in America. And they're helping nurture and develop an isolationist wing in my party and in our country, which I think is very, very dangerous.
Okay,
they're developing,
but again, is it not somebody's right as a commentator, as a journalist, as an intellectual to explore all of these things? Are we just supposed to take it? Whatever you say. Okay, whatever you say, mainstream media. Whatever you say, President Biden. Whatever you say. Okay, that's that? I just think it's high time be able to ask these questions. And we're getting a little tired of being treated as we have been treated. And I mean us collectively as Americans for not being able to ask these questions. I mean, Tucker went through it. I certainly went through it. You probably in some small way might have gone through it yourself, just in terms of the cancel culture, right, that we've all been living through. And so if you dare to speak up and say, hey, like maybe this doesn't totally make sense to me, they're like, oh my gosh, how dare you? It's like sacrilegious. It's really kind of crazy. I mean, and he had a habit of doing this, right? Don't forget, it wasn't just whatever was going on with Ukraine. He also was pointing out that there was only one narrative when it came to January 6th. One narrative only. I mean, I didn't realize it until more recently, and I've brought this story to you. The fact that Nancy Pelosi's daughter was the one who shot all the footage that we saw in a loop over and over and over again, because that's what they used in the J6 hearings. Well, Tucker was addressing some of these issues way back when, and he was getting in a lot of trouble for it. I mean, when you have a sitting U.S. senator on the floor there of the Capitol building saying this, and none other than Chuck Schumer, probably calling his friend Paul Ryan, I think Tucker's days were pretty numbered. Watch.
Last night, millions of Americans tuned in to one of the most shameful hours we have ever seen on cable television. Fox News host Tucker Carlson ran a lengthy segment last night arguing the January 6th Capitol attack was not a violent insurrection. I don't think I've ever seen a primetime cable news anchor manipulate his viewers the way Mr. Carlson did last night. I don't think I've ever seen an anchor treat the American people and American democracy with such disdain.
There's nothing that shameful that has ever appeared on American television in the history of the medium. And so, on the basis of that, the self-evident outrage of showing the public video that it paid for and has a right to see, Chuck Schumer called for the censorship of that video. Any information, and he did not dispute that it was accurate, that damages a storyline his party constructed and used must be squelched. And Schumer was explicit on that point. Because that video contradicted lies told by the Democratic Party, Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger, Chuck Schumer demanded that our bosses pull this show off the air.
He's going to come back tonight with another segment. Fox News should tell him not to. Fox News, Rupert Murdoch, tell Carlson not to run a second segment of lies. I urge Fox News to order Carlson to cease propagating the big lie on his network and to level with their viewers about the truth behind the efforts to mislead the public. Conduct like theirs is just asking for another January 6th to happen.
Okay. So you wonder why he was shown the door. I mean, my gosh. And then, the whole Dominion thing. It's not like Paul Ryan was any kind of outstanding manager, or the other guy, the lawyer guy, who was actually the former architect and author of the Patriot Act. This is the guy that was making millions and millions and millions of dollars a year to keep Fox out of trouble. And somehow they still wound up having to pay $787 million to Dominion. And they got Smartmatic coming down the path as well for like $2 billion. I mean, wow, way to go. Crackerjack lawyer that guy was. Paul Ryan, a winner you are. You're so worried about everything. And yet your company winds up in some really deep you-know-what. And by the way, don't think that this has not been noticed by investors. They got like multiple problems over there, right? So you got management that can't run the place. You got a board member out there who can't run the place. They got rid of the lawyer. They had to pay him a gigantic parachute to have him go away. They've gotten rid of a lot of talent. Good talent, right? Subscribe, don't forget. They've gotten rid of a lot of talent. Maybe that saves them some money. I don't know. And they're facing a climate in which this is the medium of the future. That's why they were so desperate with Fox Nation. They wanted to make it work, right? Because they're recognizing that this is actually how content is going to come to people in the future. So they got all these odds stacked against them. along with all these big hurdles legally and possibly more fines coming by way of Smartmatic. So you look at the stock price, and is it no wonder that it's down? I mean, it was like $30 or so just a couple of weeks ago, and now trading down around 27, 28. I mean, it was up a teeny bit today, but everything was up today, right? Today was a great day in the markets. So Fox is challenged. That would be Class B shares, because I believe the family holds most of the A shares. Really, really challenged right now.